So I'm sure a lot of you have already seen the video that I just posted comparing the camera on the Google Pixel Fold to the camera on the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4, but I've gotten a ton of requests from you such lovely people to do the exact same thing with Microsoft's Surface Duo 2. Now, this is not going to be quite as long of a video, I don't believe anyways, because to be honest, the delta between these two cameras is so much larger. I'm just not going to need to spend quite as much time. I'm just going to kind of show you what we're dealing with one to the other. But a lot of people have that Duo 2 and they're thinking about making that upgrade to the Pixel Fold, and perhaps they want to know what they can reasonably expect. So that's what I'm here to do. It's what I'm here to show you guys. Samples of exactly that. Let's start here with the standard lens. This was supposed to be portrait mode, but something didn't happen correctly on 202. So it's going to be portrait versus not portrait for whatever reason. Just roll with it. It is what it is. So this was inside and the lighting is not great. And you can see with Duo 2, it really struggles with anything but like perfect lighting. It gets really grainy. Detail is really, really bad. Of course, the Pixel Fold, it was still, lower light, a bit grainier, but you can see the detail is there. She was kind of moving around a little bit, so you get a little bit of blur, but I don't think this is like a shocking statement to tell you that the Pixel Fold is handling the lower light a whole lot better. Here in the studio behind me, you can see kind of where Duo struggles with dynamic range. This lamp over here is a little bit blown out, and this looks a little bit dark. If we zoom in as well, the details after this clears up, not great. Definitely a decent amount of graininess with the Pixel Fold. Much more evenly lit. The lamp looks much more natural, and if we zoom in here, you can see details are quite a bit stronger on the Pixel Fold. White balance is also probably a bit more accurate on the Pixel Fold as well. So I mentioned earlier that it was in low light that Duo 2 really began to struggle. So what that means is that in good lighting, I think it does pretty good. And I think you can see here as we zoom in that the details do look pretty solid, to be honest with you. This looks pretty good. In good lighting, Duo 2 is capable of taking some pretty decent shots. This is the Pixel Fold here. These are very, very similar shots. Really, it's the color profile that is making up the big difference. The level of detail is actually really quite similar. So again, in good lighting, Duo 2's not half bad. Again, here you can see what we're talking about. These water hyacinth, even in these darker areas, you can see some very small bits of duckweed still holding on to these roots. Quite nice and clear, very vibrant colors. I'd be quite happy with this shot. Pixel Fold is very similar. It's just not as bright. The colors are not punched up as much, but again, the details in the shadows are preserved either way. One more shot from the primary lens. Again, details are very similar. It's the color profile that's changing. This is just a bit brighter, a little bit greener, maybe a little bit warmer. This is your more typical Pixel look, and again, probably more natural in terms of the colors and the white balance. Looking at the spider wart here against my fence, and this is going to be a good one to show you the difference in zoom. This is on the standard camera, and again, this looks pretty solid. Jumping to the Pixel Fold, really, really similar looking shot in a lot of different ways. A lot of this is going to be subjective preference in terms of kind of how the colors are being handled, but if we jump up to this zoom level, and this is 5x zoom. Of course, Duo 2 has a 2x optical zoom, so the rest of this is going to be digitally cropping, and you can see that it is really struggling to resolve any details on this plant, whereas the Pixel Fold does have that 5x optical zoom, and because of that, is going to capture a lot more detail. This is a lot more of a clear looking shot to me. Zoom, of course, is going to be a big win for the Pixel Fold. Honestly, even using the 2x optical that Surface Duo 2 actually has versus the Pixel Fold, just digitally cropping in is still a win for the Pixel Fold. Zoom in really every conceivable way is better on the Pixel Fold. And then stepping back inside in some lower light, again, 5x zoom, very fuzzy, very grainy with the Pixel Fold. It's going to clear up quite a bit and look substantially better. Again, this is in lower light. Let's talk about that wide angle lens for a minute, because I actually like how much wider the Surface Duo 2's camera is, but the colors kind of become a little bit more drab. You can see they're a little bit washed out down here. The colors on the leaves of this tree also quite washed out. There's some grain in the shadows as well. I like the field of view. I don't necessarily love the way that the picture looks overall. With the Pixel Fold, the colors are retaining their more accurate look. They're a lot punchier. Still some grain in the shadows. This is pretty par for the course with an ultra wide camera, and of course it is a more narrow field of view, but I do think overall the Pixel Fold is going to take better photos with the ultra wide. And if we look at another ultra wide shot here, especially on the fringes, look at how low the level of detail is. It's very grainy here. It's blurry on the edges. I like the colors. I like the field of view. But when we jump over here, we're retaining so much more information, in particular on the edges of this shot. It's hard for me to tell you that the Pixel Fold isn't doing better. And if we really lower the lights even more and zoom in on some of this text here on Duo 2, you can see that it's really struggling to keep this detail here, whereas the Pixel Fold is just a whole lot sharper once this clears up, much more legible. The white balance looks to be actually kind of similar, but I do think the Pixel Fold's nailing it a bit better. Detail is a bit better as well. All right, guys, Microsoft Surface Duo 4K 30 FPS. The stabilization is what you can see that it is. Take a close look at the detail, the colors. Honestly, there are some things about the video that I think look okay. The color and the detail aren't bad, but the sound and the stabilization in particular are very, very bad, in particular when compared to the next phone, the Pixel Fold. And this is the Pixel Fold. Same settings, 4K 30 FPS. Look at how much smoother this is. Pay attention to that detail. Can you hear the sound of the koi pond on the right side? You should be able to hear that relatively well. As we make this turn, pay attention to the detail, and again, how much more stable this is. The stabilization on the Surface Duo appears to be totally non-functional. With the selfie cameras, this is what you get with Duo 2. It's not great, right? Like, it's not got a lot of detail there. It's pretty washed out looking. With the Pixel Fold, more detail. The colors look better. I mean, it's just a better looking selfie. If we go to portrait mode, this is what you're going to get on Duo 2. It does an okay job of the cutout. I mean, you're losing some hair in some places, but that's pretty par for the course. I just wish it didn't have this sort of washed out and blurry kind of look to it. Whereas the Pixel Fold will punch in a little bit. It's just something that it automatically does. I wish it didn't do. You're losing hair in much the same way, but you don't get this smooth look. You're not super blurry and kind of fuzzy looking or washed out. And then, of course, with the Pixel Fold, you can turn it around and use the primary sensor with the cover display as your viewfinder, and you're absolutely going to obliterate most selfie shots from most phones available on the market. So to kind of summarize this, in well-lit areas with the primary sensor, Duo 2 can still hold its own with a lot of modern cameras. It's decent. It's okay. Now, there are times where there is more shutter lag than you would like, and that's a place where the Pixel Fold is going to definitely take a lead. It's much quicker. With the ultra-wide, Pixel Fold to me is the hands-down winner, even though the Duo 2 has the wider field of view, which I do prefer. In zoom, again, Pixel Fold is the clear, far and away winner. In video, Pixel Fold is, again, the clear, far and away winner. Selfies, the ability to use the primary camera to take a selfie with the cover display also, I'm going to lean really heavily towards the Pixel Fold. Now, the actual act of taking photos, Pixel Fold has a lot of advantages there as well. You can pull this thing out of your pocket just like this and take a picture. You don't have to pull it out of your pocket and then open it up. And it's honestly a two-handed device to take photos with. One of my favorite things you can do with the Surface Duo 2, though, is the ability to put your viewfinder down here and use it almost like a periscope to take pictures of things looking up without having to look up into bright lights potentially yourself. Well, Pixel Fold can kind of do a similar thing if you kind of put your apps in the correct places. You can kind of do the exact sorts of things with that, which I really like as well. This has all those advantages that Duo 2 has in that regard, but it also doesn't have any of the disadvantages. It can also be a normal phone. So there you go, guys. The Pixel Fold is just the better camera. This shocked nobody, but hopefully this gives you the data, the information that you might have needed to make your decision going forward. Guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe for more. I'll see you on the next one. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.